Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but I've not been party to talks on this for a long time now. So I've been preparing the team, giving all my energy to the players that want to play for Newcastle. I think that's where my energy is best put at the moment.
The knock-on effect is enormous, with Callum Wilson already gone to West Ham, Anthony Gordon suspended, and midfield linchpins Joelinton and Sandro Tonali both nursing injuries. Howe's squad suddenly looks threadbare. The prospect of relying on raw youngster Willow Sula up front in the coming fixtures is far from ideal. Howe's insistence on only working with players fully committed to the cause leaves him little choice, but it underlines just how damaging the Isak'S saga has been. A problem that started with one unsettled player has spiraled into a crisis threatening to derail Newcastle's season before it has even begun. Meanwhile, Liverpool wait patiently in the wings. Arne Slot, who has privately identified Isak as the perfect heir to Mohamed Salah's throne, has urged his board to keep pressing. The Reds' initial bid may have fallen short, but few doubt they will return with something closer to Newcastle's asking price before the window slams shut. Liverpool sense weakness, sense opportunity, and above all, sense a striker who is desperate to wear their shirt. Slot has long admired Isak's movement, versatility, and clinical finishing. To him, this is not a luxury signing. It is a statement of intent, the kind of transfer that cements Liverpool's new era. Newcastle fans, though, are split. Some are furious with Isak, calling him unprofessional and selfish, unwilling to fight for the badge. Others sympathize, recognizing the lure of Liverpool and Champions League football as something hard to resist. The mood in the stands is fractured, much like the club itself. Every passing day without clarity feels like another step deeper into uncertainty. The owner's insistence on holding firm clashes with Howe's desperate need for resolution, and somewhere in the middle sits Isak, unmoved, resolute, waiting for Liverpool to make their decisive move. Elsewhere in the Premier League, transfer dominoes are already falling. Wolves are finalizing the capture of Ladislav Krejci from Girona, strengthening their defense while fending off Newcastle's advances for Larsson. West Ham are close to landing Monaco's Sungutu Magasa in a deal worth over €20 million, with Graham Potter clinging to new signings as he fights to reverse a dire start. Across the league, clubs are hustling to finish business before the deadline, but few stories have captured the imagination quite like this one. Alexander Isak has become the saga of the summer, a test of Newcastle's resolve, a glimpse of Liverpool's ambition, and a drama that shows just how fragile the line is between hope and turmoil in modern football. For Eddie Howe, the picture is bleak. His team has 1 point from 2 matches, his star striker is in open rebellion, and his owners are scrambling behind closed doors. He has always insisted he only wants players fully committed, but as the deadline ticks closer, he may find himself forced to accept a reality he has tried so hard to avoid. Alexander Isak's heart is already at Anfield. The only question left is when the move will happen. Now, in a record-breaking late window swoop, or later, after months of disruption that Newcastle can ill afford. Either way, this is no longer just a transfer story. It is a battle for control, identity, and ambition, and one that could define the seasons of both Newcastle United and Liverpool. And as the drama continues to unfold, one thing is certain, we haven't heard the last of Alexander Isak. The saga is far from over. Stay tuned for more twists, more revelations, and potentially the moment Newcastle fans dread but Liverpool fans dream of, Isak walking out at Anfield in red. Don't forget to hit subscribe for your daily Liverpool updates as this story continues to shape the Premier League narrative. Eddie Howe could barely hide his frustration as the storm surrounding Alexander Isak deepened once again after Newcastle's dramatic clash with Liverpool. The Magpies' boss, already under pressure after a shaky start to the season, was left blindsided when a reporter broke the news of fresh developments in Isak's transfer saga that he himself had not been made aware of. It was the latest twist in a story that has dominated the summer and shows no sign of cooling down. Liverpool's pursuit of the Swedish forward has been relentless, Newcastle's attempts to convince him to stay increasingly desperate, and the tension around St. James's Park has reached breaking point. The match itself should have been the headline. A breathless contest under the lights ended in a 3-2 Liverpool victory, capped off by a last-gasp strike from 16-year-old sensation Rio Ngumoha. The teenager, barely known outside academy circles, snatched the spotlight in stunning fashion, breaking Geordie hearts and sealing another difficult night for Eddie Howe. Newcastle had clawed their way back from 2 goals down, their fans roaring them forward in typical fashion, but defensive lapses proved costly. And yet, even in such a pulsating Premier League fixture, it was not the football that stole the narrative. It was Alexander Isak, again, whose absence and ongoing standoff overshadowed everything. Isak has made his intentions crystal clear. He wants Liverpool, he wants Anfield, he wants Champions League football under Arne Slot, who has long admired his qualities. But Newcastle are digging in, pointing to his contract, which still has 3 years to run, and reminding all suitors of the £11 bid they have already rejected. What should be an exciting season of promise has instead become consumed by this off-field soap opera. Newcastle's co-owner Jamie Reuben, joined by representatives of Saudi Arabia's PIF, even went as far as visiting Isak'S at his home in Northumberland in a high-stakes attempt to patch things up. Their pitch was simple: stay 1 more year, lead the line, take a pay rise, and we will revisit the future next summer. But Isak'S response was just as firm: no. The Swede has already withdrawn himself from Howe's first-team plans, refusing to train and sitting out matches. For a manager who prides himself on unity, professionalism, and commitment, the episode is becoming a nightmare. Asked post-match about the Reuben-Isak'S meeting, Howe could only shake his head in exasperation, admitting he hadn't even been briefed on the discussions. "I wasn't aware," he admitted, cutting a frustrated figure. "Talks have been happening behind the scenes, but my focus has been on the players available and preparing the team. I don't have an update." His words spoke volumes about the growing divide between the football side of the club and the ownership hierarchy, scrambling to manage the fallout. Sky Sports pundits wasted no time weighing in. Thierry Henry, never shy to give a blunt assessment, insisted the situation had reached the point of no return. "When a player doesn't want to train, doesn't want to play, it becomes toxic," Henry said. "The best outcome now is for him to leave. You can forgive mistakes, you can forgive a bad game, but walking away from your team is another matter. If he apologizes, maybe, but the best thing is for him to move on." Jamie Carragher, speaking alongside him, echoed the sentiment. "We had this with Torres at Liverpool," Carragher recalled. "He didn't want to be there, and when that happens, it drags everyone down. Isak'S wants the Champions League. He wants to be at Liverpool. If Newcastle try to keep him against his will, it could turn into a nightmare season. For me, they should cash in now, before the deadline." And yet Newcastle's ownership remain reluctant. Yasir Al-Rumayyan, present at St. James's Park for the Liverpool clash in a rare personal visit, would ideally like to keep the striker who was meant to be the jewel in their crown. But he too has begun authorizing contingency plans. A £50 million bid was lodged for Wolves' Jørgen Strand Larsen, though it was swiftly rejected. Wolves insist the Norwegian isn't for sale, but Newcastle are expected to return with an improved offer. Elsewhere, bids have been placed for Brentford's Yoani Wissa, also rebuffed, while Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson has been floated as a more attainable stopgap. None of these names, however, carry the same star power or pedigree as Isak'S, and time is slipping away with the transfer deadline looming large.